Hello, class. This is our recording of our change theories and the change game presentation. So first of all, I've got our slides up here of how well we did, because compared to the first time I played change game, it got markedly better. So I feel the need to brag on our extreme successes, including 6,270 bennies and pretty much everyone hanging out in routine use, other than Carol, Pat, and Irene, who have moved to interest, and Will, who we're going to fire because he had problems at his old school for a reason. So it's okay that he's not there, because he's not going to be on the roster next year. Which brings us to looking at how we're going to connect the change games to various change theories, including but not limited to Cotter's change model, transformational leadership, and Prosky's psychology of change. You're up.
Okay, I'm up. So I looked at step 2 of the Cotter model after igniting a sense of urgency within your organization. The next thing to do is create a desire for change among employees. Or the second step is building an effective guiding coalition. And that's to promote change within an organization. It's a group of knowledgeable, highly effective staff drawn from within an organization who could use their social and professional capital to help plan and change and encourage buy-in at every level. So I've got a couple of examples here. Are energetic influencers who can engage, persuade, people trust at every level of your organization. So we want those people not just at the top, but in the middle and at the bottom of an organization, all levels there. Avoiding the naysayers is huge in this second step. Those people who will never support and never change. In our example, Nora is that person. So looking at the different people in this building coalition, Al is someone you really don't need to lead the change, but you do need his support and blessing to move forward. Eve has a lot of influence. Everyone trusts her in the game, so she's an influencer here. Jan is technical and enthusiastic, loves new ideas, doesn't fear failure. So important person to in building that coalition. Upton comes along easier when the others are on board. Nora is constantly the no-go zone. So she's your naysayer. So in conclusion, important part of that, I believe, is just knowing your people. So if you know your people, you know who you can bring along, build that guiding coalition to promote change within your organization. So that's my slide.
So my section is on the 4 skills for transformational school leaders. So the first part of that is in the rationale. So we can discover in there that cognitive investment comes from understanding people, what they need to do that change, seeing how it works for others. Like, for example, when you're sending the staff to a school who is already using that technology, when it builds excitement. There's an example of that in the game.
Well, now I can see who helps Samoya with her homework.
Here, let's mute Dr. Stewart real quick.
So we're trying to get our teeth out.
Okay, there we go. Keep going.
Sorry. There's an opportunity to send other teachers into various classrooms so they can see the work that they have already been doing that inspires them to do better. And the second piece of that is trust. So that's the emotional leverage that people have whenever they have those pre-existing relationships and friendships, and that does an amazing amount of the heavy lifting for you. I like to say often that trust can get you to the table, but the relationship is what will keep you there and that continue that process forward. The third piece of that is capacity. So you have to have a champion or people who have really the opportunity and know and have professional development, have been trained to use that can go out and basically build that skill for other people. And finally, it's the results. I think 6,270 bennies is phenomenal. And I'm just saying that because I want to remind everybody how many more bennies we got. And that really, it's not about the 3 haters that was left behind but we have built a system that's going to continue to do this work long after we're on to something else. So,
and for clarity, it was 4 haters left behind, but we're firing one of them, so he's really getting
there's
left
only
behind.
3.
So moving on, we're going to look at Prosky's psychological barriers to change. Prosky's most famous for that ACDAR model, but I was most interested in the section on like psychological change and kind of what was going on with that. So the first element of that is confirmation bias, which is that we seek information that confirms our previously held beliefs. So one place we see that is in board member Carol, who remained a hater the entire time. But there's one particular instance you interact with her where she's like, didn't another school not like that program? Yeah, Carol, because if you seek out the 1-star reviews, that's going to be what you find, sister. For your loss aversion, we tend to focus on what we would lose more. And we see that at the high school level, particularly with QT, who thinks that technology is going to interfere with the real work of his department. The endowment effect basically is that we don't want to give up things we already have, even if it's non-tangible things, just like the comfort of this is how we've always done it. So like Simone, for example, in that original packet is described as wanting to stick with what's worked in the past. Hazel at the elementary school proudly proclaims there's nothing wrong with teaching the old school way. So that's kind of an example of the endowment effect. And last is ego. Sorry, not last. There's 2 more on here. I just can't see them through my screen. 4th is ego, which is that most people don't really know how little they actually know. Like Principal Eve, who's never used a computer. Irene, who resists anything that makes more work, even if it'll make her long-term life easier. And Ray, thinking the computers aren't going to be good for anything beyond basic language instruction. But last is social proof, which is that people assimilate whenever they trust the people that are already doing it. It's the end of that curve on that learning curve of, oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking on his name, Rogers diffusion of innovations. And so whenever we see, like, for example, Eve, Jane, Nora, and Upton, when you get them on deck, they start moving other people along with them. And that's whenever you see people assimilating to the change because the people they trust are going along with it. Which brings us to the end of our presentation. Now we have to get back to your actual class because we recorded this on break because we forgot we were supposed to do it. Thanks from the Hosfeldt and Giffin. How do I stop the recording? Oh gosh. Sorry. Okay, bye.